I remember the exact second my heart detonated. 2:49 a.m., the night before my parents' ruby anniversary on the old river cabin. My mother's voice slid through the phone like honey poured over broken glass. Jude, darling, Lila's proposing to Theo tomorrow at magic hour. Private chef, cellist on a vintage pontoon, the whole thing underwritten by that oat milk champagne brand. We simply can't have the kids splashing through the frame. You know how Lila is about negative space these days. In the background, I heard my sister's new laugh wind through crystal. Miles, 6, was passed out on the rug, clutching a plastic pirate sword. Knox, 4, had conked out mid-bite of the peach, juice glued to his cheek like varnish. I looked at them and said, "Understood." Then I stepped onto the porch and vomited into the azaleas. That was the moment I decided to pour kerosene on 40 years of family and flick the lighter myself. I just didn't know they'd already doused the planks. My name is Jude Callahan, 41, senior colorist. I get paid obscene money to make superheroes look godlike and heartbreak look cinematic. For almost 2 decades, I've been the family's silent ATM, human shock absorber, and delete key for every crisis. Mom's gallery roof collapsed, Jude. Lila needed an emergency villa in Positano because her breathwork summit got extended, Jude. We'll zell you, promise. Never happened. I've slept under coats that still smelled like their apologies. Divorced 6 years, custody 70/30ths. This river weekend was sacred, mine and the boys. I'd rented kayaks, stashed the illegal fireworks, booked the barbecue guy who lets kids crank the smoker like it's a carnival ride. One call and it evaporated. My own kids were too rustic for a proposal sponsored by sparkling probiotic rose. They descended the next morning like a lifestyle virus. Mom, Dad, Lila in cream silk that cost more than my truck, and Theo, 33, somatic coach, which means he charges $600 to make trust fund women cry in a circle. While smelling like vetiver and superiority, Theo filmed everything on a Ronin like he was Scorsese reincarnated. Mom didn't hug me. She stared at the half-sunken unicorn floatai like I'd murdered minimalism. Lila floated up the steps, voice dipped in almond mom serenity. Jude, we're manifesting tomorrow. The brand's flying in a glass harmonica. Wet Kids in 8K is not the vibration. She said vibration the way other people say lice. Dad scratched his neck. The same tell he's had since I was 10. One night, son. Park the boys with Claire. Run camera for us. You're the only one we trust. We'll do loud and messy Sunday after the content's in the can. Translation: the algorithm eats first, grandchildren second. Then Mom played her ace. Budget's ballooned to 22 once you add the floral arch and the engraved sabers. We're short 14. You always land on your feet, sweetheart. 14 grand to fund a stranger proposing to my sister on a dock my kids weren't allowed to stand on. The cicadas went dead. Miles chose that moment to streak across the porch wearing nothing but dinosaur rain boots and a colander helmet. Dad, the frog choir's starting. Come record it. Lila actually recoiled. Theo angled the gimbal away like my son carried the plague. I knelt, wiped peach off Knox's chin, and whispered, "Catch me the loudest frog. Bring evidence." Then I stood up and looked at the 4 adults eclipsing the sun. One word left my mouth flat and final, like the slate cracking on the last take of my old life. No. Mom's face collapsed. Dad tried the disappointed sigh. Lila's eyes filled with the weaponized tears she saves for brand apologies. Theo started humming to raise the frequency. I shut the screen door so hard the glass rattled like gunfire, locked it, walked to the end of the dock, and dove into the brown river still wearing my boots. That was take 1. The rest of the reel torched itself. By lunch, the family chat, renamed Sacred Portal, was apocalyptic. Then came the Venmo from Theo. $14,000. Memo: abundance, exchange, red heart. I laughed so hard a kingfisher took off in protest. I sat on the dock with my laptop on a cooler and performed financial amputation. Canceled the boat policy I'd carried. Revoked Lila's creative cloud. Itemized every swallowed expense. Mom's flooded studio. Lila's last-minute Burning Man airstream. Theo's $2,200 crystal pyramid charged to my Amex at 3:11 a.m. I saved it all in a folder labeled bloopers they'll never post. One text to the group. I'm done cropping my children out of the frame, so your highlight reel stays clean. Access revoked. Enjoy magic hour. They came back at dusk. Lila sobbing real tears, liner tracking like war paint. Theo tried to go live to hold space. I walked straight into his lens until he dropped the phone in the river. Mom shrieked that I was destroying 40 years for a silly video. Dad muttered, "Your mother's blood pressure, Jude." I looked him dead on. I've been monitoring my kids' heartbeats since they took their first breath. Your turn, Lila screamed. You think you're better because you have a real job? Nobody's paying you to play martyr dad. I smiled for the first time all weekend. Good, because I just quit. I killed the Wi-Fi, let the Ring cam die, turned off every light, and fed them to the mosquitoes. That night Miles asked why Aunt Lila said the river was too dirty for us. I sat on the edge of his bunk and told him the cleanest truth I owned. Some people love the idea of family more than the actual humans in it. We're the humans. Humans get muddy and loud and hunt frogs that sound like kazoos. He nodded solemnly, then asked if we could light the big fireworks to celebrate being human. We lit every single rocket and signed our names across the dark. Anniversary morning, we ate blueberry pancakes shaped like sharks on the dock. We jumped off the rope swing, holding hands. I took no photos for anyone but us. At 7:08 p.m., Lila posted the proposal. All cream linen, peonies the size of hearts, rented lanterns floating like paid extras. Caption: She said yes where the river runs gold. Chosen light, chosen love. 6 crystal flutes. 2 empty places where plastic shark cups should have been. Something prehistoric in me cracked open like sunrise on water. I did the one thing they never saw coming. I hit go live from the end of the dock, river dripping off me, boys cannonballing and screaming about frog royalty behind me. No LUTs, no score, just raw truth in 4K. I told every erase splash, every dollar, every time I dimmed my light so their feed could stay bright. Ended with the line that spread like wildfire through every parent group on earth. Love that crops your kids out of the frame, so the picture stays perfect was never love. It was just good exposure. The live cut when Knox tackled me into the water mid-sentence, laughing like liberty itself. Within hours, strangers were sending photos of their own ghost kids in family photos. I never answered my blood relatives again. 6 weeks later, Lila showed up alone at twilight. No silk, no ring light, hair in a knot that cost nothing, eyes swollen like she'd cried the whole drive. She stood at the dock's edge and said, I called it all off. The brand deal, the wedding content, everything. I watched the footage and couldn't find my nephews anywhere. Couldn't even find me. Just a beige stranger. She cried the kind of tears that ruined $200 lash extensions. I am sorry, Jute. I chose peonies over my own family. I didn't drag her into the river, but I didn't hand her a towel either. I said, when you're